Hey there, guys. Hello. All right. Can't wait. If you don't know this about me, guys, when I started my health and wellness business in 2010, graduated from IN, I heard everyone say, "Oh my God, I can't wait to do a group. Oh my God, I can't wait to do, memberships." I don't even think memberships were around at that time, but like group coaching. So I always say like membership kind of platform, where I was the opposite. I was like, I have a fear of public speaking. I want to do my work with me. And everyone from like my coach and I, to even coaches that I was friends with, they were like, "Oh no, there is no way. I want to, do a group and I'm going to go pitch this idea to this gym and to this workshop." And I was the opposite. I was like, I am going to go take a deep breath, because even though I'm extroverted in all my affairs, as far as public speaking, no way, Jose. As far as like pitching, no. I was so good at getting out of all those kind of things my whole life. So for me, building my business, which is very different from a lot of coaches out there, I build it with my Work With Me offers. So I want to talk about a little verbiage that you guys will hear from me, because I know that I talk about a lot of different things as far as offers, and I just want to clarify what they mean. So when I talk about Work With Me, those are the offers on your Work With Me page. You're going to hear me say front offers and back offers. The front offers are what you actually see on that Work With Me page, whether it's a 90-minute session and 30-day and 3-month are your offers at different tiers: low, mid, or high, higher touch, higher price. Or maybe you have offers that you see on somebody's page and it's a 6-month on the front end. But if you happen to be on a discovery call, that person may say to you, "We've had this amazing call today. I've listened to every one of the problems that you're having, and I want to give you another option. You may be a really good fit for my 3 months, and my 3-month offer looks like this." That's a back end offer. What that means, in another term that we use, is downsell. It means that that person isn't right for your higher ticket, higher touch signature program or your offer on your Work With Me page, but on the discovery call, they are giving you another opportunity. The other thing that I want you to know in terms of verbiage that I use is you will often hear me say, "Well, the reason I like a 3-tier is because it gives them different financial and commitment, opportunities or levels." That can also be translated into, really, your Work With Me offers are based on the hero journey you envision your client taking. You're also going to hear me talk about examples that I had in my one-on-one business, and it's actually when I created my do-it-yourselves and my groups. It was for the sole reason that that person truly could not afford it. Now, some of you may be working with business coaches where they say everyone can afford it. I really think that depends where you live and the type of person that you attract and their health issues. For me, as being a person who lives in Boca, I did attract people that, most often had money, but because I worked with people with autoimmune, mystery illness, autism, spectrum-related issues, heavy metals, a lot of the different things that I've gone through and that I help my family with, I found that a lot of people had found me at the end also when they didn't have a lot of money. They've gone through testing. Now, I had other people who found me simply from my YouTube videos where I was sharing my story, what I wish was different, what I wish I would have known, which is the huge foundation of what I always shared to attract my ideal client. And there was that person who really did not have the money. And one of my big whys and one of my big purpose, especially because I grew up in a city in Philadelphia and saw that not everyone has the luxury of having money to afford the right healthcare, to afford the right person. I wanted to start doing groups, got over my fear because I wanted to make that affordable to people, or a lower cost option to work with me, like a self-paced detox or a program that we met like twice a month and did a program on, Facebook in a group atmosphere. So the last part of it is you will also hear me talk about face-to-face groups. One of the things that I did right in my business, and we all make our mistakes, but I did reach out very early on and learned that I needed to build my referral network. And so I knew that being in Boca and depending on YouTube and my personal Facebook page and my business page on Facebook, Instagram was just coming around, and LinkedIn, that there were just only so many hours in the day for me being a mom with 2 little kids. And so I knew that I had to reach out locally and either partner with people, pitch to different offices, wellness centers, and I had to do a lot of meet and greet. Right now, maybe with the current culture and atmosphere, that meet and greet is maybe more through a personal message, Facebook. Right now it's not uncommon to DM somebody and say, I really love your podcast. I would love to be on it. And I can also give your audience a free gift. Well, I used to just walk into places and I would say, I'm a health coach. Of course, I was a little scared. That takes practice, guys. Don't let anyone fool you. But I started offering different gyms and wellness centers the opportunity for me to come in and do a program for them. Of course, we did it face to face, but I said, I can come in, and because I've done Facebook groups, which I had, but not at a level of a program, I said, I can bring this element to your business. So remember, when you're thinking about growing your referral network, always think of the benefit that it's going to have. Otherwise, why are they going to listen? So when you hear me talk about face-to-face groups, that's exactly what it meant. I ended up for 2.5 years, which was a huge, huge part of my income, and also what really got me to be known in Florida, in Boca, and also referrals out the wazoo to where I was turning people away, is that I did work at a gym. I did, their entire year of transformations and wellness talks and weight loss talks and superfood talks. And I also duplicated that same process and system at a karate studio, at a women's gym, and actually built out their entire video membership way before memberships were like thriving. But I created a program for them. I, of course, made the videos. And so when we talk about work with me, that's pretty extensive. I will be diving into different elements of really sharing like what I really did as a coach, because I see myself different from coaches out there. I see a lot of coaches who either built their business one-on-one, or maybe they only work in the online space, or they're in the fitness and weight loss space, which is very different than some of the coaches that we attract or that we write for. It's not that there isn't fit for everyone. We have a lot of coaches who are fitness and weight loss coaches, but they're more the mindset coach. We do have a lot of CrossFit trainers and a lot of studios and gyms that buy our content. But I would say that we attract a lot of coaches who are like myself, who are building one-on-one businesses where they're working in areas that are what I call very sensitive topics, and their one-on-one is a big element. And so when they get to that growth and scale phase, that's when they're doing really well. And they're like, oh my goodness, Rebecca's a coach I even talked to last night. And she's at that place. She's a psychologist. She works with intuitive eating, emotional eating, disordered eating. And so she's maxed in her one-on-one. And so she's using our content to build out her client journey on her one-on-one, as a one-on-one work, as a work with me option, but she's using them in a group format so that she can reach more people at an affordable price. So please always know that there's so many ways to build your business. There's not just this like one way, because I felt that, and you can ask my husband, Scott. I had serious anxiety attacks about speaking. My cheek would shake, which is also why I love with our programs, they're scripts. And I also love that for you guys, for anybody who is an introvert, the beauty about content is that you can even do videos with the camera off. Do 2 minutes in the beginning, introduce yourself, take a break, and then record it so that you build that know, like, and trust factor, and people find you, because we need introverts and extroverts and those in the middle like myself. Okay, diving into today's topic. Hello guys, hello. So let me just grab my PowerPoint that I worked on, and please let me know in the chat, where are you coming from? And also just write down a little about your business. What do you envision? Were you working brick and mortar and now you're in an e-learning space? If you're in an e-learning space already, such as working from home, what are your different offers? Drop some questions. I will make sure that I come back and answer them. And guys, as I said, this is going to be a few different tiers that we're covering, but we're going to get this party started today on our Friday. Let's make it happen day and have some fun and demystify that this does not have to be that overwhelming. So give me a secundo, and now I'm going to share the screen. All right, everyone, take a deep breath. It's going to be a little overwhelming, but it's okay. It really is. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to map out your profitable work with me page. For today's training, make sure that you keep your eyes just focused even on the work with me page, because I want to open up and expand some different opportunities so we all don't think that we have to just launch online. I hear a lot of coaches, especially ones who are introverted, really struggling in the digital marketing space, feel overwhelmed. And I said to a coach the other day, I'm like, you're a doctor, and you're like a mom, and you're, a weight loss specialist. You're not a marketer. It's okay. Like, you spend all these years going to school, like, give yourself a little break. Not everyone's going to have it figured out. So even just with her, we focused on, what's going to be her work with me offer that she can start with. So today we're going to look at some examples as well. But we're going to talk about why it's really important to have these different tiers and how this relates to the client journey that you have envisioned in your brain. So what is your client's journey? I'm just going to give you an example. Say that Sally comes to you, and Sally's got gut issues, and she's had them like since she was about 7. She was told that she had an ulcer when she was like 17. She's had this unexplained weight gain for so long, hair's falling out, she's got adrenal issues. She's having a tough time getting pregnant. Let's just stay on the case study of Sally. If you specialize in gut, it would make sense that you have a program that fits Sally. Sally has more advanced health issues. They've been going on for a very long time. And I'm sure if we had more time for today, we would, ask Sally, as we do on our discovery session, on our intake forms, whether you use Practice Better or another system, we would ask Sally, how long, how long has this been in your family? Does anyone in your family have this? Were there any complications when you were born? Were you a preemie? What, were you given a vaccine right away? We would ask all those detective, questions, of course. But the truth is that Sally most likely needs more than the 30-day program. She probably needs to be with you anywhere from like 2 to 4 months, maybe even 6, to get a really good baseline so Sally's empowered and can move on with her life. Or that you are working with somebody to, of course, co-collaborate, or maybe you're doing your own functional medicine testing. So when we talk about different tiers, we talk about these different opportunities. Maybe Sally says, you know what, right now, because this is the biggest thing we hear, right now, we just have a lot going on. My husband, he got laid off in work. I'm really stressed. We've been trying to have a baby. I had a miscarriage. The hormone specialist I'm working with is costing a lot. It's not covered by my insurance. And I don't know if making a commitment, even working with you 3 months, is right. I've worked with a lot of different people. I've done a lot of things, and I'm just extremely overwhelmed. No problem. Sally, you know what? I haven't ever lost a baby. I can't imagine what that's like, but I do know that working with me is different than working with other people. And let me tell you why. And one of the reasons that I have kind of this entry, like, let's get a baseline. Let's get that inflammatory foods out. Let's see what pathogens are pulling away your core energy. And I'm not a hormone specialist, definitely stay with your hormone specialist, but possibly even making and creating a situation that could be one of the reasons that you're not like having good amount of progesterone in your body. And there's a lot of inflammation or stagnation or toxins in your liver that can 100% affect fertility. I know that one of my clients had that, and we were able to work together. And then she worked with my Chinese herbalist to be able to get her body healthy, make a baby, and hold that baby. Would you want to start with a 30-day? And I can also introduce you to my herbalist, and even include, a 20-minute just free talk with her, of course, and see if that we can really make a cohesive plan so you don't worry. That's why we have different tiers. So when I think about Sally's journey, yes, she needs to be a longer program. That would be, a Restore Your Gut, or maybe that would be a hormone approach, or maybe that would be even 4-month reboot or mindset makeover, depending on what you specialized in. But I would also have a 30-day starter program. That starter program is great for, your 30-day work with me. It's also great if you want a self-paced, do it yourself as a pre-qualifying program to either a group or a higher intensive, high touch. So always think in your business, and for your client who comes to you, who maybe is the opposite of Sally, which is Todd. And Todd just has, he has some issues going on, some gut issues, not really bad, doesn't have any major health issues, but he's noticed that his cholesterol is high, and he really wants to work with somebody, and his wife wants to work with somebody too. There's not these long-standing issues. They're a great fit for a lower, amount of program, because their commitment level isn't extremely high. They want to, their commitment level of like who they are is high, but usually when there's like pain and things are really glaring and affecting that person, of course, a person who maybe is not the Sally, but we'll call her Jessica, just is like, oh my God, don't worry. Even if there's financial stuff, like I'll figure it out because I just know you're right. She's going to go right into that program. And the big difference in that conversion is because Jessica's heard something either from you, or she's downloaded content, she's binged watched a YouTube channel, she got a referral from somebody. And so she knows you are that person. She trusts you. And so of course, she's going to convert better. Sally might have her own stuff, no matter how much you go at objections. But she just needs to not feel pushed. And so knowing like these different opportunities that you have, but they succinctly still go together. Step one was the one that's right for Todd. That's like, we're going to get a great baseline. And that was the one that we downsold. We gave the back offer for Sally. If it wasn't on your site, me, I just had them on my site. I couldn't keep it that complicated. But mine on my site were steps. Step one was my baseline, which was a detox, 14 days. Step two was working with me for 6 weeks to 8 weeks. And step three was where I got into my longer programs because that person had food allergies. I was working with a family, spectrum issues, autoimmune, etc. It's really important for us to know those steps that we take. And that also is our signature method. So I know I went into great detail on that. I just wanted you to hear some of the verbiage on really how discovery sessions happen and how we need to be great listeners to be able to hear and understand our ideal clients and where they are. And also honor, without like doing this hard push sell, that they're scared. You know, of course they are. We're saying, hey, hire me and I'm going to change your life because you've seen me showcase that transformation in a talk or in a freebie, etc. So just remember, guys, to give a little compassion for that, you know, person who's looking for you and honor where they are in their own fear. Okay, do you offer solutions in different stages? For those of you who don't know Terry Walls, stop a second. She is one of my favorite people out there. I've interviewed her multiple times on minding the mitochondria, autoimmune. And our last one she did on my podcast at RachelAFeldman.com/podcast. She talked about how she teaches her students that not everyone is ready to do that full on longer program. And that sometimes it's really good to bring people in steps. You and I both know in a 60 or 90 minute session, you're not going to like fix the gut completely, fix the period, fix anything. But we can plant the seed. And for a lot of people who are more self-paced or people who don't have either the money or and that's, you know, the truth about a lot of people. She worked with a lot of veterans. There wasn't money. She would say, I want you to be highly committed for this 90-minute session. I had tons of people who were highly committed for a 90-minute session, and they would see me once a month. So please, guys, just remember when you're thinking about your offers, there isn't just, oh, it should be this or this. Each one of you, just like the fluidity of finding your like health kind of roadmap, is the same in having this divine conversation, because that's really what a discovery call and, you know, hence the sales call is about. It's about that like divine interaction between you and this person, and knowing that you have these different offers, these different tiers allow you to, without pushing, you know, I only have 5 spots left. It's like, how good does that feel? I just told you that I've got like all these diagnoses and now you're going to tell me you only have 5 spots. I just think we have to be honest that a lot of this like sales technique isn't working, especially for those of you who've been down the block with your own health issues. Think about how scary it was. That's why we became coaches. So it doesn't discredit anybody out there who's teaching maybe more of that model. But I would say for a lot of people who are like us, we need a little more love in that connection, because that's where the trust gets built. The last part of this is for those of you who are more in the grow and scale, and you are the people like Rebecca who's fully booked. You're looking to now accentuate and add an element like a signature online program, and that feeds into a membership. Great examples are Megan Rand with Zesty Ginger. They have a baseline program. That baseline feeds them into their core signature program, and they then graduate to more being in the membership in their tribe. 3 reasons to have a 3-tier work with me. Create a clear path for your customers to follow. You're on a discovery call and that person says, we'll just pretend we're still talking to Sally. Tell me what it's like to work with you. Well, I have these 3 different ways to work with me. First, I want to address what you filled out in your form before we even got on this call. You said you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so when that person fills it out, you start to know who your offer is right for. So I know right away if there's what I call the 7, 8, 9, 10 issues, that person's had long-standing issues. There could be multifaceted issues with that gut stuff, with the ulcer, with the infertility. I already know that she's probably not the best fit for what she wants for her goals and accomplishment in a 60 or 90. But I also honor the psychology of people and that she might be extremely scared like I was. I was scared, I was hesitant, I was jaded. And it's actually one of the reasons I became a coach, because $10,000 later in testing to only be told what I've been told my whole life, we don't know what's going on. I was like, so anyway, that's for another story. But it's very easy to be able to say to Sally, well, this is my 3-month program. This is my 30. This is my 90-minute. This is what we can accomplish in each of these. And I'm confident of that. I feel that this one's the best fit for your goals and everything you said is going on. Then we listen. And if Sally is really scared, or Todd or Jessica, we can then pivot either while we're on that conversation or in our follow-up email and say, it was really a pleasure to speak with you. I would love to work with you. I think that we would be a great fit for so many reasons. And I know that you were hesitant to go into the 3-month. Makes complete sense. I was too. This was my experience. Do you want to start with a 90-minute? And if that 90-minute works well, we can just feed that into working with each other in a longer capacity. This is what's included in the 90. So that's why it's really nice to know, like my 90 gets a baseline. So for me, that was the detox. For a lot of people, that's 21-day hormone detox. So clearly that's 30 days. And so your first tier would be a 30-day. And so then you start to say, what are my additional offers? And then you reverse engineer once we understand what are the ways to work with you. What makes you different? What are you teaching? And that's the reason we're like, oh, I'm teaching this because this was broken. This is broken. I created this system because it's for my ideal client. You then start to understand what workshops you need, freebies, downloads, or challenges. It all starts to flow instead of feeling robotic. Create different options based on commitment, finances, and objections. We just covered that in the Sally exercise. Have options for your ideal client to say yes to your low cost first tier versus I don't have the money. Remember, finances, money is a big one. We're always going to hear that, especially in an economy where there's change. Oh, that one says, it says high tier. We're always going to feel that because I heard that. I heard that in business always, but I especially heard it in 2010 when I built my business. So I speak from massive experience that everyone will always say to you, I don't have the money. What, of course, turns into a paid client is when they see the value. They understand the trust. You've had conversations where they go from, I don't know. And they're like, wow, I feel like you're in my mind. Another person where we build trust is we really understand that, yes, we may know that it takes a certain amount to accomplish something, but that we can also take baby steps because maybe that person's got a lot of trauma or fear or finances really are a problem for them. And so they can take baby step number one. That's why my 90-minute sessions, I never did 60 for the smaller ones. I would do 75 or 90. I knew we could get accomplished a good amount and personalize a program. So the way that I did onboarding is that if somebody said yes to that, such as Sally, I would send her an email and I would say, we're going to meet in a week. Please fill out your food diary. Please be conscious, of what's going on. Of course, they would sign their disclaimers first and their contract. But I would say, please be cognizant of your body. I want you to keep a diary. Like, use this food diary, but I would have them always get either a journal like this, real cheap, or I would send that as just even a gift. $10, sending to somebody of a really cute journal was worth it, because that's where people get loud and they feel loved. And that, to me, is what coaching is really about. It's hearing that person and feeling that love and compassion. And I would say, fill it out for 7 days. And they were like, what? I can't meet with you right away. I was like, no, we will be able to actually accomplish what we want when we are being conscious. And so during that 7 days, they wrote down, they even did little videos, and they'd be like, I'm not good at video. And I was like, I just want to hear how you're feeling. And so when they did meet with me, I had already, once they signed their contract and, agreed that I was not making a claim, I would send them their full program. That's a 14-day program with recipes, handouts, structure. That structure, it's a baby blanket. At 100%, but it also allowed that person to know what I was offering wasn't just the intangibles. It allowed that person to know it was no joke what we were starting to do, because if they wanted to know how to skin brush, it was in there. If they wanted to know how to do an Epsom salt bath, it was in there. My favorite probiotics, this is one of about 30, was in there. It gave them the beginning roadblock so they could have a vision. And what I always heard right when they opened that Dropbox, it wasn't any fancy delivery. Oh my God, I can't even believe this. This is more than I got. And I would say, well, expect even more, because the game's going to change. And I knew that even when I wasn't confident. And one of the reasons I made the Done For You programs was actually for my business. Done For You programs only were birthed because a coach asked me if she could buy a program, because I was having success and I was having confidence and I was starting to show that, and just my personality, even showing up on social media or wherever, or pitching to all these opportunities. So we're going to tighten this up because I'm running past my time. First tier, lowest price, less commitment. Examples: self-paced, do it yourself, single session, like I shared with you what I did with Rachel's Wellness, a 30-day. Some people don't do that 90 and want their beginning to be that 30-day. Like I said, that example, 21-day hormone detox, or maybe like the 30-day program we have for habits, or a 21-day program for resetting your life. There's so many different options. Then we have that middle tier. That's the one. And some of you will only have 2 tiers on your work with me, but maybe there's another tier that is a group that you have that fits more of that middle cost. I also have clients who do group coaching, and that's like that middle cost. It's a great in-between way to work with somebody, but it's not their high ticket, high touch. 30-day, 90-day signature program, group or one-on-one. And this is high tier, but this is the most intensive access. You'll see this in a lot of growth and scaling, where you will see like retreats, where I did this person's mastermind for $12,000, which is $1K a year. $1K a month, $12K a year. Or maybe you'll see something where it's a $12K mastermind, but people meet at a live retreat twice. You also see ones that are like, high ticket, high touch, where somebody's with you intensely with maybe labs, and, you're part of a really intensive high touch group. Tons of different ways. There's VIP coaching, which I loved. It's like 5 hours where you're with your client. There's VIP weekends. And then, of course, there's just your longer 3-month program. Usually with mine, I gave extra little bonuses and little gifts. Everyone's a little different, but there's so many different ways to do that. 3-month, 4-month, 6-month package. I know people that have even built out 12-month higher touch ones where there are one-on-ones, but still in a group atmosphere. So let me just see. Oh yeah, okay. So I was like, are we at the next one? So understanding that ideal client, guys, you saw me talk about Todd and Sally and Jessica. I always look at ideal client work and really getting to know the psychology of your buyer by like placing names and thinking about their different habits and where they live and, their own fears that stop them, because their fears are their objections. And so I really encourage you to think also about your offers in that way. Like for somebody who loves really thriving in a group and gets scared to do one-on-one, maybe even because of shame, or gets scared to be in a group because of shame, maybe one-on-one is a great fit for them. So really think about who is the best fit for your offers. And then, using our content to like fill in those holes is much easier than saying, is this the best, like either, offer for my business? Think about, that journey that either you had to take or that you've helped somebody take, or that is the exact journey to get from like point A to Z, or like step 1 with step 5 being that ultimate transformation. And where are they even currently in their health journey? I gave you that example of like Sally compared to Todd. There wouldn't be a reason for Todd to work with me that long. It would create like disharmony and it wouldn't feel aligned. And that was a big thing that I always would say to my clients. Like each month, I had clients who stayed with me actually years. And I would say each month, like, you want to roll more? You want to keep doing this? And I also would say to them when I felt like we needed to either pause or that they needed to find somebody else, or I would bring in team members and help to really be that lead point that was working with the clients while they were working with a lot of, overwhelming issues. And so when you're thinking about these offers, I see a lot of coaches say, oh, well, I have to do a membership. I have to do an online group. Think about your client first. I swear it's the best thing that I did, because I built this business butt backwards, but I always thought about my client. I always thought way before I even had clients, what are he or she like? Like, do they want to be more in groups? Even though I was scared, poopless. So group was not that first, but I realized that I also had a lot of people, I call them marathon runners. They like to do things by themselves, but they like to be in a group, where you might be with a lot of CrossFitters, and those are people that thrive in the group. So really get to know your people. And the swimmer, which was me, not that I don't like marathons and CrossFitting, but that's a person that's very individual. And so think about your offers also based on personality. It will, 1, make it fun, but 2, it will also help you to convert better. So like, how did they absorb information? Just all these different ways. My people really loved little videos way before we had all these places to house it. I just made videos on YouTube, kept them unlisted, and would send them to my client. Like, keep it really simple. I wanted to show you Dana. Dana, on her work with me, has Retune Your Hormones. She made it a self-paced program, and she also has a membership. You'll see also our 5-day hormone detox right here. This is how she lays it out. Please, guys, do your due diligence to find people that you admire who do it really well. I sometimes know how people use our content and sometimes they don't. I would say the ones that I'm close to and that I follow on Instagram and I geek out on their content anywhere, I know. But make sure that you just look and you do that market research to find 5 top people in the industry who you really admire their style, and then 5 people in the industry who are direct competitors. I know it's overwhelming. I know it's scary. We all have to do it. Otherwise, we have a really tough time visualizing our business. So this is Nicole Ritter. She's pregnant. she's adorable anyway, but she's even more adorable with this big, awesome belly. She has our Detox and our Restore Your Gut Health as her 2 main core programs, and she does lab testing as well. So here's a great example of just a gut, 2 50-minute sessions, access to my signature digestive wellness handouts in every program. Like, you want to be like a Viva Jill Rum, buy the Adrenal Reset, that we have. And those are the handouts. You can even do it on a work with me offer. You can do it on a group offer. The biggest is what also works for you. Like, where do you thrive and shine? Access to my signature detox and allergy elimination program. This was my 14-day, but this very simple verbiage is exactly how Pepina from Pepina Wellness and I wrote her copy on her Work With Me page. No joke, in 1 month, he did all the copy. Very simple, just like this. And she also was like, I'm like simplicity. So it kind of fit her vibe. We created her offers. She had an online program and Work With Me and shopping tour. And she did like women's wellness, high-end kind of like day retreats. But this was this simple kind of verbiage that we used. Access to my gut rebuilding plan. That can be any additional content. That can be a video series. And that's the cool thing when you really think about your offers. Man, do they make sense? So the conversion's even better. And you also don't feel as overwhelmed. Recorded Zoom calls, Voxer support if you wanted to, which is just a way that you can simply speak in to, it's like, to be honest, makes me a little crazy. I like to have a little more contact with my clients. So I would always, Voxer though is a way that somebody can record something and that recording comes to you. What's nice is it does stay there, but with my clients, I always would say, we're going to check in. We're going to check in early in the morning. I'm going to check in later, because I did have a lot of clients who were doing allergy elimination, or we were adding back in things, or we were working on a lot of emotional old stories and trauma. I did work with a lot of people with weight. Never in my life did I think that, nor did I think as a coach that would be like, a part of my offers. But I do a lot of work on, and personally have a lot of work on like old stories and trauma and rewiring. And a lot of people would say to me, I'm just so inspired by what you talk about and how transparent you are about your life. Do you do weight loss? I worked with a lot of people with emotional eating disorders, disordered eating. I had my own experience. I was always very transparent about that. And that led me even into working with a lot of different teams. But I would always just look at the human, no matter what I always said, gut's my baby, and autoimmune and a lot of stuff that I had to do with my own family and my children. But when I think of us as coaches, people are scared and overwhelmed, and we often are told, like, here, take this one supplement, do this one thing. One of the reasons that I became a coach was from that experience where I had done a lot of testing. It was an amazing, amazing chiropractor. Thank God. Thank God he was in my life, because I found out I had such high mercury levels. And at that time, I think it was like 28, I was not even going to the bathroom. And when I was, it was a pale yellow. And so it's a blessing that guy was in my life. And it was a blessing that he also said to me, you just did this round of testing. Here's this one supplement protocol. And not that I don't, I mean, I love it was standard process, and I do love standard process, not everything. But I do love the bile salts. And I also love Ann Louise Gittleman's. Ann Louise, I love you. But it was him who I had said disheartened like every one of our clients and ourselves. I said, I don't have any money. I had borrowed that $10,000 from my parents to do that testing. And I said, is there any other like supplement company that I can get, somewhere, go in a vitamin shop for like a cheaper one? And he was like, no, this is it. And it was actually that day that I felt hopeless is one word, but disempowered is really the main word. Because I was like, this can't be the only thing. And truth is, it wasn't ever, because I don't think there's any one thing that works. So when I think about a lot of our work, it's to see our clients and to, of course, take them down the path that you really feel is right, supplements, etc., but to also like journey with them. And that's a huge part of what I would teach families that I worked with spectrum and with autism and learning issues, is how to journey and how to have these co-creation kind of conversations with their specialist. So, I would say that I have a lot of varied experiences as a coach, and I just encourage you guys to abandon some of this marketing stuff that tends to really overwhelm us and take us away from speaking to our clients in the right way, ones that are really loving and come from the heart, and also to have those offers that truly speak to where they are. Please, if you don't know Terry Walls, listen to her. Her stuff's amazing. Her books are amazing. Her podcast really was amazing in referencing this area. Brendan Bouchard also teaches this. I know I worked with a high performance coach for 6 months, and it was a game changer. She definitely imprinted me to see that I had to change a lot of my mind to be able to change my life, and also change a lot of behaviors that, I wanted to let go of. But it also was interesting because Brendan Bouchard teaches his high performance academy students that exact strategy, that if somebody's not right for your core offer, and you might have, a core offer on your front, to have that back end offer, that lower cost. Each one of you are going to structure this differently. Each one of you are going to have different price strategies. I want to lessen the overwhelm in step 1. We will be going through trainings in relation to these elements, but come out of that overwhelm. Come out of the panic. There's not like one shiny object. Even with our content, you've got to be that program. You got to make it your own. It's overwhelming, but we've got to learn how to table our own overwhelm. If it's CBD, do it. If it's, talking with somebody or doing EFT tapping or doing the I am statements. I mean, we have a plethora of things as coaches that we know how to do. Or if you're dealing with your own health issues, get a coach. But most importantly, think of those steps that you take somebody through, and make sure that your offers are really a reflection of that big vision. Somebody's saying, and we're just going to do a little answer to the questions. Somebody's saying, Cheryl is saying, I'm in your group. I'm an RN working with chronic fatigue sufferers. I focus on my main pillars. Whoop, whoop. You got your pillars going, girl, which means that we can polarize down. We can be specific. She's saying it's detox, gut, hormones, insulin and cortisol, clean, whole foods, and stress. The only feedback that I would get for that is, I love to hear this format, and we talk about this in my membership. Tell me, and I talk about this not only with myself, but just with clients in general. Tell me my niche is. I want to be known for. And you can get into the I help people ABC with 1, 2, 3. I want you to master and practice these elevator pitches. Like in my free group, I'm going deep diving into this practice because I just don't see anyone teaching it. And this was the only way I got super clear. So for Cheryl, tell me who your niche is. And then I want you to pick like 4 main pillars. Those main pillars support. I'll give an example. If I want to be known as the gut specialist, which is why I was on so many gut, summits. One of my core teaching pillars is detoxification, because I 100% believe, even that's a reason I put myself on a little liver detox, is that when the liver is congested, there will always be dysbiosis. So that was a huge pillar. The natural solutions for me was a huge pillar of all the things that I do. Cupping, Epsom salt baths, castor oil packs, CBD oil, all those natural goodies that I truly feel everyone needs to know. And it's really hard to find that information, or like, what's the best brand? And then the third part of that was that mindset and that weight. And for weight, for me, it was either like, was it underweight? Was it overweight? Was it this bad relationship with food? It was redefining that. And so those were these core pillars. Underneath gut was, of course, food allergies and all these different things that came to me. But I knew that those were these teaching elements that I could drill down into almost, every different post and talk about a natural solution, or talk about the mindset and that relationship with food and the stress and not overthinking as the gut personality, the natural solutions that I constantly used so that I could master my 24 hours. So Cheryl, my pitch, I'm Cheryl. I help chronic fatigue sufferers recover by identifying and addressing the root cause. Boom, lady in the group, hit me with exactly, I want you to name just what those root causes are. Because we can say root causes, guys, if we want to actually be seen in the digital market, digital space, that does require more clarity than having a conversation one-on-one. I double dog dare you to record a conversation that you would have with somebody one-on-one. We wouldn't say root causes. We'd say, I have somebody identify some of the reasons that they're experiencing autoimmune, reasons like cortisol levels, insulin resistance, PCOS, leaky gut, parasitic infections, candida, as my doctor used to say. We would define it. The more that we define that and we test out those definitions that we've, of course, written down, which are really just symptoms, problems, because that's what our ideal client, the clearer that we get on where people are actually engaging. I can't tell you how many coaches have said to me, I built this entire business and I feel like I want to, just like quit because nobody's engaging. And I always say, then you didn't test enough to see you didn't test enough on that verbiage. It doesn't take long to test and to get people on the phone and hear their verbiage. So for an example, like Cheryl, who's saying, partner with, gut health, hormones, get a little more specific. I work with women who are struggling with hormonal issues. They look like this. When you work with me, I help women to stop being in this vicious chronic fatigue mayhem, because we deep dive into these core areas. Area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be 5. And Cheryl, awesome for lending that. I just always say, keep diving. And so I really want to, encourage that for any of you who are struggling. Somebody saying, can you talk about a busy businesswoman for overall health and self-care? This is for Michelle. Hey, Michelle. It's good to see your face, lady. Okay, let's do this. We've all been corporate at some time. Maybe you weren't a CEO or a CFO, but you may have been a receptionist, or maybe you were a secretary. I would say anyone in corporate, there's different personalities. So for today, I'm not going to talk about ideal client avatar and buyer personality like we did with Sally, Jessica, and Todd. Otherwise, we'd be here for 2 hours. Not that I can't talk about that, talk for that long, but I want to make, for this purpose of this training, really simple. Think about the problems in corporate. Right now, everyone's double working, triple working. A lot of pivoting in corporate, a lot of big decisions that need to be made. So even if you are CEO, CFO at a higher or sales, all of your worries, your stress will bleed down into any company, no matter how big or small. There's lots of meetings that are happening right now. Slack channels are left and right. Somebody feels, how am I going to keep up? How am I going to make it? Am I going to lose my job? These are all the things that keep the person worrying. In normal corporate, we already feel like, I need to have high performance and I have, energy issues and I'm overworked and I have no time for myself because I have to get this done. Because the reality is they do need to get it done. That's their work. And I think that that's how they make their earnings. I think that too often we overlook what this person's life really is. And we say, well, when you work with me, I'm going to help you establish self-care. When the corporate person is like, I don't even have time to pee. So if I were, and when I worked with people in corporate, I would always say, listen, this is really simple. I know your self-care is pretty poo-poo. I know that you rush off to work. And if you have kids, that you barely are saying like hello to them. And if you have a long drive, you're really leaving at about 7:30. And if you have a baby, you're dropping off a baby at daycare. So your day is already starting in panic. Is it safe to say that you probably didn't bring lunch because you didn't prepare? And then you feel like you're dipping down and you're drinking coffee at like 3 or 4, o'clock. Or maybe you've even, like I was, hitting Starbucks 3 times a day. Just got to have that energy. What would it be like if we actually mastered and hacked this 24-hour plan for you? Where we like carved in specifically based on what's realistic in your life to actually change or to maybe massage or to create a plan. What if you actually had a plan so that you didn't feel completely insane when you left work, so you didn't feel completely insane when you came home, and that you actually weren't farting or having constipation or loose stools when, your body is a little off? What if it was like, what would it be like if sleep was a little better and that you weren't waking up in the middle of the night worrying? What would it be like if you actually had foods that you didn't feel tired after you ate, but you were like, okay, I've got fuel to go on to the next thing? And I always painted a picture of what I would want in corporate. You want more productivity. You don't want to feel as tired. You do want energy all day. You don't want to have to, get nervous, be on a phone call and like rushing to the bathroom and like putting your client on, mute and flushing the toilet. I mean, come on, every person in corporate's been there at some time. And that was one of the biggest things that I talked about, was that feeling of, that IBS. So when I think about the corporate woman and I think about all the roles that she has to play, or even, the CFO or the CEO or the salesperson that I worked with who had food allergies, skin issues, psoriasis, leaky gut, a myriad of different issues, I would always say, we're going to develop these strategies. It's the same word that we use in corporate, to find a way so that if you're traveling, it's all good. We're going to have a plan of actually how to get you gluten-free foods. We're going to have these plans. And then all of a sudden people would say, you know what, if you can do that for me, I'm with you for life. I had other clients who we were even busy corporate, and they would say, I hate cooking. I don't think it's bad if somebody hates it. I'm not going to try to push it. I know a lot of coaches feel that way, that everyone should cook their food, but if they're not going to do it, why push it? You probably just lost that client. And I got that client because I understand you hate doing that. So either I'm going to make you kind of like learn to love it, or we're going to figure out a way for it to be super easy, or for really healthy meals to be delivered. And I'm going to teach you how to eat off a menu, or I'm going to teach you how to live out of a hotel. This was everything that I did. And I had success because I thought more about them, and I would be like, what is your day like? I'd have them fill out like, this is where I get hung up. And a lot of it was very little things, like the person I worked with who was a compulsive overeater, but she never told anybody. She would get letters from her boss and think that she was a failure because maybe she did mess up something. But that brought up old stuff of really how her father was. And so I think that too often, as I said, we don't think enough about our offers, or we think too much about it that we compulsively obsess. Drop a 1 if this is you. Compulsively obsess, like, oh, I've got to have everything in ClickFunnels. It's got to be all perfect and practice better. It's got to be all perfect in this. I mean, I can't just send a person a Dropbox. Why not? Like, why can't you just send a person a Dropbox? Oh, every cover is going to be changed. I don't know, like, can you just take off the covers? The cover isn't why somebody's hiring you. They're hiring you because they feel choked and suffocated in their life somewhere. Whether they're drinking, they're drugging, they're overeating, they're undereating, they're working out compulsively, they're gambling, they're, whatever it is, they're raging, or they're drinking. I mean, there's so many things that people do in the over-under because why? Because it's hard to make change, because it's scary, because our change is, the ability to change is directly connected to our own trauma and the support in our life. We only change when we get support. We only actually start to build trust with somebody when we don't just hear a sales page like, lemon balm is really good for you, zinc is really good for you. But when we actually hear, we actually help our client to understand that we're also human and that we are the right fit because either we've been there or we know what steps they need to take because we've witnessed it, or that we also just are really smart and caring and strategic and really good at helping a person to come back to their own intuition. Doesn't always have to be your own story, but don't get tripped up thinking that you don't know how to speak to your ideal client. Most often we're really tripped up and we're not really clear on what we offer and why. So then it's really hard to have high converting anything. So that's how I would look at it. Reframe how you're looking at this person. Name her, write down where she's getting tripped up. Is she constantly going to the vending machine? Figure out a strategy to not go to the vending machine. Figure out a strategy to not put a whole entire thing like this size of creamer into her coffee, which most people do, or help her not to what? Overeat at home because she's sedentary. One of the things I used to show clients, which was so funny that looking back, I'm like, wow, that's so crazy. But I wasn't crazy. I was relentlessly determined to figure out a solution. I used to be like, so if you're sitting at work, I'm just going to show you what I would send to my clients. I'd be like, this is how you can do dips right at your table, right at your office. Because guess what? That's what we did when I was in commercial real estate. And even if I didn't, my clients were like, I'm traveling, I'm this, I never have time for exercise. And I remember being like, can we do 10 minutes? One baby step. That's what we are. People don't know, but it's the changing and the shift of habits. And man, it's hard. It's hard for me. It's hard for everyone. So I would just say reframe how you're looking at your client. Somebody's saying, what is a specific 14-day program from your list with recipes that you sent? For me, I actually had 3 small programs. So I had 3 like 14, 21-day programs. I had Revitalize, which was a 30-day program that I'd used, but there was also a 2-week weight loss that I used for people who were more of my gym. I also had a 21-day, I had a 14-day grain-free, which is our paleo program, because that was part of my step-by-step system. That's what worked for me at a time where beans and grains were not my friend. I also had the 14-day detox, which you see because a huge foundation, and still what I believe, per the work of Paul Pitchford, Linda Page, and John Douliard, and Louise Gittleman, just to name a few. I really believe in seasonal detoxing. And I believe that when we eat in the bounty that is provided, we are as close to detoxing naturally with food as we can. So those were my short programs. And I found that for me, with different types of people and their issues, I had different baseline programs. I also had a mom program that was more of like my 30-day Revitalize, which is kind of now our 21-day clean eating or Revitalize. That was for the mom who just was extremely overwhelmed, but she was inspired by me. She didn't necessarily have a host of issues. She more was interested in not having her kids get food allergies, having them be really healthy. And most often she had her own issues as well, but they weren't her big hot hook. Somebody said, I love that you acknowledge your high performance coach. She was a game changer. I think every coach I had was a game changer. With Brendan, one of the reasons I'm a health coach. That's so sweet. So sweet. I love that. I think high performance coaching is a game changer. And I've been thinking about doing it myself because I really think it's one of the answers. Just like I feel like gut is everything. Somebody's saying, hey, Rach, I bought the hormone workshop. How could I use it for my chronic fatigue clients? I feel any content can be niche for our clients. So for example, if I was messaging the hormone workshop, I would say, if you've been struggling with chronic fatigue and you know your hormones are out of balance, I want to invite you to this workshop where I'm going to share 3 specific strategies for those of you who have a lack of energy and you find yourself in a chronic fatigue state. I know this can be an endless battle because chronic fatigue is one of those mystery illnesses. Join me on this live presentation. You can also flip that around and you're saying, are you struggling with fatigue? Have somebody told you that you have hormones out of balance? Maybe thyroid, in this free training, and position it as more of the solution. So it can, as the solution to the person who's not diagnosed. I call that 4, 5, and 6 issues. When somebody's been diagnosed, they know these words: adrenal fatigue, insulin resistance, PCOS, chronic fatigue. Before that, that person's kind of confused. They're in the searching and investigating stage, and they might be experiencing 1, 2, 3 issues, which are all of those warning signs. And so I would really think about position it maybe even in both ways, because then you are speaking to the person who already has chronic fatigue. But if you are actually working more with the people that are in the investigative stage, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6 people who have just been diagnosed, that can be a little different of a workshop. But I think that adding to any of our content, I love just adding in, key things that we do, because what separates us apart is the very cool things that we have discovered and learned. So that would be my biggest suggestion. Somebody's saying, where are people asking these questions? Because I'm using StreamYard, and for any of you who like or are interested in different simple ways that you can go live, Zoom, of course, is one. And guys, my husband just told me yesterday, they are releasing literally that you're going to be able to charge money for somebody to access your Zoom, and they're going to have a social listing. That is unbelievable. Instead of going and saying, here, send me a PayPal and come to this Zoom. This is like, I'm beyond blown away to go check it out. The second is, this is StreamYard. StreamYard you can only use on Chrome. The reason I wanted to use StreamYard and I added it to a platform is that I'm able to go on multiple platforms. So I really encourage you just to test it out anyway, because it's always really good to see what platforms, just like what probiotic is right for us, what platforms really fit for your business. So there are questions that are coming in on the feed from Facebook, and they're coming in, of course, from YouTube. So to answer that very clearly, those are where the questions are coming. Now, I do want to make sure that you guys are in the free group. We are doing this every Friday. And knowing me, and if you guys enjoy these, we will be, doing a live Q&A question. But I would say commitment-wise, we are committed to every Friday at 12. We can hang out with each other for lunch hour, and we will be doing a series of these kind of trainings. For me, the work with me is a game changer. Mastering the discovery section from the soul, understanding who your ideal client is. And so please make sure you come into our free group or drop a question below. I do encourage you to go over to rachelafeldman.com. Guys, there are so much free stuff, to the point that I don't think my competitors like me. But I always say, make sure that you're getting the support you need, to really build your business, and the one that fits your personality and, of course, for your client. So I think somebody's just saying, one last question. I can't see, somebody's asking, on StreamYard, do I see the names? So I don't see it for Facebook user. It will say Facebook user if it's in a group. If it's on a business page, I will exactly see that user's name. StreamYard has, of course, different policies that go with the policy of Facebook on what you can and cannot see. So those in the group, you don't exactly see their name. I'm sure that there is a specific answer to this on StreamYard's, Q&A. And say if you want to compare it to Zoom, I feel that they're different. I don't think that StreamYard is HIPAA compliant. So that's one. Two, I would say in the ease of it to go live on platforms on social media, that's kind of how I look at its greatest gift, is that you also can use this like for podcasts, because you can bring people on. And what's nice is they also have your name right at the bottom, right there already. It's not very expensive. So for some of you who are maybe doing the Zoom, and Zoom, I love you. But we're just talking about realistic finances. For those of you who are doing the Zoom to webinar feature, that's a paid $40. While I think that to have one for StreamYard is free. I think three is $50, $25. I mean, so look at the pricing. I wouldn't say, and I thought about this for a good maybe 4 months when I signed up for StreamYard. Could it replace Zoom? I still love Zoom, especially for questions and deep diving into a program, or doing like a hot seat. And when I say deep diving into a program, if I'm showing a sneak peek of a program, which in relation to you guys would be if you're showing behind the scenes of your membership or your program or recipes, and you're doing what we call that trust building by showing what that transformation would look like, or you're doing a pre-buzz before a launch and people can ask questions. I do like Zoom for that, but that's just me personally. Anyway, I think that we've had enough time together, guys. It's been such a pleasure. And I hope you guys, just like myself, I know I had to give myself a little compassion time and pull back on social media. It's just been just a tough time for myself, a tough time as a business owner. Lot of aha moments, lot of, realizations about my bandwidth, my self-care, and my purpose, and really what I know that I'm meant to do here. And so I'm just giving you guys a really big hug, because I think that we all need it. And I know that I just said this to a person yesterday. I said, I think that the change that we all do need to really focus on is changing with each other. I know for me, part of coming to this different place where I feel better is going to a place that I was many years ago where I wasn't depending on any one system to fix something. I said, you know what, I'm going to be a coach. So like I can help people like myself weed through all this information and find what feels right for them. And that's what I've had to do in this last, I'd say 2 months, 6 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months. And that's given me a place where I feel like I can breathe again for myself and giving me like peace in my heart. Doesn't mean I feel at peace every second, but it's allowed me to renew my faith and in us as people, and not look for a magic bullet. So guys, always make sure to check these reminders will be, I do go live into our free group. I go live on my business page. So make sure to look for these reminders, or just add that to your book. I am putting out some really cool things that are happening, a training series that I've worked on and really thought about those early days. So if you feel the struggle, I get it. I've been in those shoes. But just know this, what you see and how you see me being able to speak eloquently is from practice. I hope that you go on my business page and you look at the days of 2010 and 11 and 12. And I hope that you go on my YouTube and you look at those early videos and you start to compare yourself to yourself, and not people who have money, a lot of money for like virtual assistants, or they're doing brand shoots. Just give yourself a break and remember, just like I said earlier, your client isn't buying the fancy cover. They're buying you and they need you. So don't ever forget that, especially when it gets tough. All right, guys, I will see you later. Have a good one. Ciao, beauties.